Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Extra Life Matter podcast. My name is Lawless Les, and joining me tonight, I have my co-host, Lord Darktheory.
What's up?
No underscore this time.
No underscore
Yeah,
this
no
time. I wasn't
underscore.
feeling the underscore this time. We'll have the underscore back next episode. And Nerdy, no underscore Bernie.
What's up,
How come-
guys? I'm NerdyBernie.
Not fair. He gets a no underscore.
Well, you were underscore on your performance in the last podcast, so keep the fuck up this week.
Oh. Shots fired.
Yeah, this week, shots fired.
That's it. I'm unmuting.
We'll never let it go. This week we looked at a couple of topics. Nothing really stood out to us, but we're going to cover the xCloud situation because I think it could lead into a couple of interesting bits. So bear with us on this one. Just to set the scene for this, the situation is that Microsoft has had to pull xCloud from the iOS store. xCloud is their new cloud-based gaming service, which looks like the true Netflix of video games that we all were looking for from Stadia, which, what the fuck is Stadia and where the fuck is that going to be in 6 months?
Oh, especially because it's included with the Game Pass.
I know, it looks like they're going from strength to strength with this. So you don't have to purchase all of the games, although I imagine there will be some games you will have to pay an additional fee for, and some of them, like with the current Game Pass, will just be free on the platform. But hey, you don't need a console anymore. You don't even need a PC. Just play it on your fucking mobile phone, as long as it's not an iPhone.
I'll say one thing. It's weird, but I can understand why iPhone is doing it. It's more on the fact that they're a competitor now. You know, iPhone does have Apple Play, which is basically a gaming service similar to xCloud. So it's basically saying, no, we don't want to have a competitor on our own devices. And that's basically what they're doing.
Is it similar to xCloud, though?
Close enough to where they feel like they're being threatened.
I think this is from a developer perspective. And I remind everybody, I'm a pseudo developer, not a full developer. Historically, one of the selling points of Apple phones is that everything goes through a much more stringent and controlled process to be uploaded onto the Apple Store, which is why the number of gacha games on the iOS store just blows my fucking mind. Who actually manually greenlit those? But I digress. They try and keep a bit more control over what's going on in the Apple environment, and that's how they sort of tout their security of the phones being apparently a lot higher. You can still hack them, but there's less dodgy shit on the iOS store than there is on the Android, because they got some filtering in place. That being said, this is Microsoft. Yes, you guys are rivals, but you gotta respect that Microsoft is fucking Microsoft. And I don't think that defense really stands up for this one. To turn around to the largest computing tech company rather in the world, I believe Google actually has them pipped now, and to say, we're not going to trust you to run things on your own servers is perhaps a little bit restrictive, and I think that they need to look at relaxing things.
Well, I mean, again, you're talking about Microsoft. Microsoft and Apple, in general, have been competitors since day one. They're literally, made from basically the same people.
Yeah, Gates used to work for Jobs.
I mean,
Not directly.
so, I mean, in all fairness, they've been a competitor since day one. It's like basically saying, hey, Sony, why don't you go ahead and put all your downloadable games onto my system? We're good with it. It's just not going to happen. And I can understand that. Do I like it? No, but I can understand it.
I do want to say, you talking about Google and Microsoft being worth similar. I just looked it up. I'm a nerd. And Microsoft is actually worth over $1 trillion, and Google is only $632 billion.
It's interesting.
So Google
They're
is actually
billionaires.
smaller.
Yeah, Google's actually smaller. Well, I'm not surprised because Google or Microsoft has been out longer. They're OG. They're the starters of PC, man.
See, this is an interesting little segue that I want to cover while there's an opportunity to say it. This was a conversation that I had. It might have been with Darktheory a while ago, actually, where I turned around and said, like, okay, Microsoft apparently is, almost twice the size of Google economically. However, the thing with Google is, it's much more influential to our lives. Yeah, okay, like most of us will use Windows computers and stuff as our desktop of choice. Use it in the office if you don't use it at home, etc., etc. If you're too young to have an office, then what the fuck are you doing listening to three sweary cunts on the internet talk about video games and shit? So go away and grow some pubes. But the point that I made to whoever it was I was talking to was Google represents the first company that is so large that you wouldn't want it to fail. If Google was likely to fail, the whole idea of capitalism is companies grow large, they take risks, they fail, and then new companies spring up underneath them to take that piece of the pie, and that's how we diversify products and stuff like that. At least that's how it works before we reach the sort of the scale of companies these days. I'm going to cut all the boring shit. Essentially, if that was to happen, if Google was to do something wrong and fuck up, the governments of the world have to prop up Google. Because if Google went down, significant chunks of people wouldn't be able to find anything on the internet. Significant chunks of the internet would go down. Significant number of people wouldn't be able to use their fucking phones. You know, like so many levels of infrastructure would be fucked if Google just disappeared tomorrow, that it would cause probably more damage than if a country was wiped off the face of the map. You got a corporation that is now more important to the world than like fairly developed countries.
Yeah, I don't think Google's going anywhere. Maybe like if something really bad happened where we didn't need electricity, like the end of the fucking world. But until that happens, Google's gonna be there, and probably even after the end of the world, Google's gonna be there in some form.
Exactly,
We'll
but isn't
see.
that fucking crazy? You think about like all of the shit that didn't exist like even 100 years ago, like the things that you'd have to explain to one of your relatives, like you know, if your great grandfather or something, if he was alive today, like there's never been a point in time in history where any institution has lasted thousands of years. But I genuinely cannot see Google not.
Religion.
They're not in. They're well, okay. They're institutions, but they're not corporations.
There you go.
There is. We could get into like the cult of Google and you know the whole sort of like control of media and stuff like that, but that's for like a Lawless Does Politics episode where I can be more critical of it, and we're massively tangenting from the original topic of xCloud on iOS. I think overall we sort of touched on maybe there being some competition with Apple Play, but I don't think so. Apple Play is more for directly developed mobile games. They're not approaching big publishers. Nova's kind of the biggest.
I want to stop you there for a quick second. They have tried, but the games failed so bad they took it off the market. They are trying to push for it. They just haven't done very well.
I think if it was the question of competition, then Android, specifically Google, would be advocating for xCloud not to be able to be on at least their Google Pixel phones, because they've got Google Stadia and they don't want the xCloud competition. But I don't think
Google and
advocating for
Microsoft.
that.
I would say Google and Microsoft have a really close connection with each other. I mean, they're competitors, but they've never really crossed a line from each other yet. Have you ever noticed that? Like, you don't hear them bickering at each other like Sony and Microsoft or Apple and Microsoft. You know, Google kind of just keeps it to themselves and tries to do what they can to get into more devices. I don't know.
Well,
if
and
that makes
lately,
sense.
Sony and Microsoft have been kind of trying to make nice. They've been doing more cross-play stuff and
Loosely in
things
front
like
of the
that.
cameras, of course.
Sony congratulated Microsoft on the release of the One X, saying that it was a fantastic achievement as a console, which was really quite nice.
Again, like I said, in front of the media cameras, of course. Sounds great.
What strikes me as weird is I don't see a direct product that Apple has competing with it, and yet they must have known that people would be dissuaded from buying their product by disallowing a service like this, and also the ensuing drive to look into the underpinning processes behind it. Again, as an industry insider, the reasoning behind a lot of Apple's restrictions is quality control, and so that they can keep boasting that iPhones don't fail. You know, everything that's on the iOS store has been specifically designed to run on supported devices and should have been tested on all versions of those devices before it's put up on the store. Not that everybody does it.
Right. They just kind of like, yeah, we tested this for that. And then they come out with it and it runs like garbage. Like the Fallout 76 of iOS apps.
The thing is, those are fairly rare, and that sort of draws us into the larger debate that is whether you go with an Android phone and whether you go with an iPhone, which, you know, really this has become a bit of a balancing factor on the side of Google, which again I think is one of the reasons that they quickly turn around and say, nope, we got no problem with xCloud.
Yeah, and I can see it being something like, okay, I'm gonna make a statement here. It's a little bit bold. If you are an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you get xCloud with it. But if you have an iOS device, and that's all you have is an iOS device, you are in effect purchasing an inferior product of Game Pass because you can't use it on your iOS device. Whereas if you have an Android device, you're getting the full benefit of everything.
So you do know the actual real reason why they're not going to be on, right? Like, have we actually specifically said why xCloud isn't necessarily going to be allowed to be on Apple? I mean, we kind of just speculated, but I kind of
I
found
don't
really
think
know.
we've said it.
Well, an Apple spokesperson told Business Insider that the reason xCloud is and other gaming platforms are not allowed on the App Store is because the company can't review every single game included in those apps. So basically what it's saying is that it wants to be able to see every game inside xCloud before it can be approved to be put onto their App Store, which makes it kind of practically insane and stupid.
I point
Yeah.
out again the number of gacha games that you can download on the iOS store. I don't think that Apple has got a position where it can say that it has stringent quality control for the quality of some of the games that are released on the iOS store. That's an interesting angle. I was under the impression that it was because Microsoft was hosting things on servers outside of Apple's remit, whereas typically everything within the iOS sphere is hosted on Apple's internal servers. And again, I'm going to go into the boring shit, but essentially Apple's trying to tell, yeah, our iPhones are really fucking secure, but then again, you've installed a Microsoft app which links into Microsoft servers. If Microsoft gets hacked, they've got a backdoor into your iPhone, which is kind of rational. But it's kind of, if it's to do with censorship of video games, the fuck off, Apple. You haven't got a leg to stand on.
Yep.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm sure that they could come out and make some kind of deal with Microsoft if it was the security thing where they're like, okay, you can, for the iOS version of this app, you can rent some server from us and we know what's going on the server. And it would be probably not what Microsoft exactly wants, probably not exactly what Apple wants, but it would be a fair compromise. But I think there's something.
In fairness, too, I'm also thinking of it this way because they want to kind of keep an eye on all the games that are coming in and out. It's probably also going to be based on the fact that Apple is globally known and each country has restrictions based on certain gaming perspectives. And they'll probably, I could see that kind of being an issue where they would have to.
Oh, but that's actually really easy to figure out because firstly, Microsoft would have to meet those restrictions anyway, and secondly, region filtering is something that's like ridiculously fucking easy to sort out. Like you consider like on Steam, if you try and buy games for different reasons, like when I tried to buy you a game on Steam, was it one of you guys? I can't remember if I bought you something for your birthday, Darktheory, or whether it was some other dude that I did this for. But anyway, I couldn't buy this fucking game to give over to whoever's birthday it was. Not because it wasn't available in the country, but because the monetary value was different from the UK to the US, which means that they can go down to that granular level of having different pricings for different regions.
Yeah.
So to turn around and say, right, well, this game can't be rated in this country, Microsoft would have responsibility for that on their servers. The other sort of thing is, again, I'm going to nerd out here. I got to go to one of the data centers where they host the Microsoft Azure servers. Azure is like their big fucking cloud thing that they sell to businesses, and xCloud will be definitely running on servers comparable to the ones in their Azure platform.
Or better.
Nerd.
Yeah, or better. Fucking hell, man. I'm not going to go into all the details, but basically you could have that site hit by a nuclear bomb, all right? And as long as the backup data center wasn't within the blast radius, that server's not going down. You could have like some massive saw blade just come across and cut all of the cables on the top of the fucking server out. That server wouldn't go down. You could have a flood. You could have a fire. You could have like any number of things could go wrong to those servers. And if you think the hardware side of things and disaster recovery side of things is pretty hardcore for those kind of data centers, the fucking security measures in these places is insane. To get in there, I had to go past like 2 sets of armed guards against physical intrusion, and the security protocols in place are only more hardcore. Like they got that shit on lock.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I just finished a course online about security and things like that, and that's just through Google. And I can't even imagine what the type of things doing at Microsoft and things like that make it essentially very, very difficult for that attacks to happen.
Sorry, I'm going to kind of go back to what we were talking about. And I have a question about something here.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, again, they're complaining that they would have to look at the games separately and yada yada. Then why is Twitch allowed?
Because you're not playing the game on Twitch, you're watching the game.
So
that's I'm just telling you exactly what Apple would say. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're just watching the game." It's the same reason YouTube is allowed. They don't want to fuck about with like, "Oh, I gotta review every single video on YouTube or review every single streamer on Twitch." They don't want to deal with that. Apple isn't really in the user created video type of world. They've got their Apple TV now, but that's not user created. That's their own streaming platform.
It sounds like a very uncharitable misinterpretation of how this fucking service works.
There you go.
Because the only legit reason you'd have for this, again, like the iOS store has got 18 rated games, and the iTunes store has got 18 rated movies and series and stuff like that on there. So it's nothing to do with content control and stuff like that. Apple's not one of those social justice type companies as well. Yeah, they're the brand that hipsters use, but I don't hear of shitloads of articles of, oh, okay, they did actually take down a whole bunch of comedy series, but so did the BBC, so did fucking half of the American companies that air British TV, so I digress. It's not because, oh, we can't have that game in here because it has violence or it's not our message. The only thing I can think of is being worried about what vulnerabilities the software is gonna pose to them again. And if it's running on xCloud, it's a cloud fucking service. The only thing that's running to the device is what's streamed from that server. All of the software in all of those video games actually running on a Microsoft server. So like, comparison, Doom Eternal, go and buy Doom Eternal. Fuck me, Doom Eternal is great. Get really hyped up on shitloads of coffee or cocaine. I don't endorse or take cocaine, but whatever. Take it anyway. Take twice as much from me. Get really fucking twisted and enjoy the fuck out of Doom Eternal. It's great. But it had a series of vulnerabilities and a kernel level anti-cheat system, which made me have to uninstall it for a bit because I refused to play with that on there. That's a security risk. But with xCloud, you're not installing it to your machine. You're not installing it to your iPhone. So it doesn't fucking matter what's in those games. All you're getting is the visuals that are being exported from that device, and also the feedback from the input that you're putting on in your phone. To break it down like really fucking quickly, the way it works is you send the input from the phone, it runs it on the machine, and it sends you back the visual output. Pretty much no other data needs to be exchanged there.
Yeah, it's essentially like we were saying, it's like the Netflix for games that we wanted Stadia to be. You're streaming the game to the thing. You don't have to download the game. You don't have to do any of that shit. You just play it as if you were playing, one of those interactive Netflix shows.
I'd like to point out that about a week before they canceled or they denied Microsoft, they also denied Epic Games, and earlier today, Epic Games has announced that they were suing
Fuck off, Tencent.
iOS.
Continue.
For that particular reason. And I've also realized that they've had a lot of extreme issues trying to allow other devices. It's definitely anti-competitive issues. However, it took over a year for them to allow Steam Link, which is the only other competitor that they've allowed onto their devices, to be activated on an iOS phone. In fact, the Galaxy lineup has added a app built in for the Xbox Game Pass.
You just mentioned Galaxy. I can't remember. I think it was Apple, but Samsung lost a lawsuit to Apple, and they were ordered to pay something stupid like $100 million, and they delivered the money to Apple in trucks in pennies. Go look it up.
Oh yeah, that's
fucking
exactly what I
brilliant.
would do.
It's like,
That's
here you
great.
go. Yeah,
That's
we lost the
great.
lawsuit,
Get
but
'em.
we're gonna be massive salty cunts.
Get 'em.
Here is the money you won in a lawsuit. Have it in pennies. We'll pay the shipping.
Fun with this, right? Shipping costs not included. We got you.
I've heard of stories like that, and then smaller stories where people pay off ludicrous tickets that they didn't feel like they should have in pennies and things like that. So it's definitely yeah, you won, but screw you type of move.
Hats off to them on that. A proper pro gamer move.
So Lawless, Nerdy, iOS or Android?
Personally, I like a little bit of both. There's features I like on both. I have an Android device.
He swings both ways, people.
I have both devices. I have an Android phone and I have an iPad. It's an old iPad, but I have one. I lean more towards Android personally. I mean, I know I'm a bit of a hypocrite saying that. I do own a little bit of Apple stock.
Fucking stock trader over here. Jesus fuck.
Oh, come on. It's like one share, okay?
With one share, you can go to the boardroom meeting. So if I was you, I'd still go to that boardroom meeting, be as obnoxious as possible. And like, they can't do anything about it because you're legally allowed to be there. I'd love to be that guy for a company like Apple. It'd be fucking hilarious.
I'd love to be that guy for Amazon, but Amazon shares are too expensive. But enough tangenting.
Well, I think you're both boring because I know that Darktheory agrees, and it's actually the correct answer. I remember a point in time where going for interviews in IT jobs, one of the questions you would be asked by an employer was Android or iOS, and the correct answer could cost you the job. But the correct answer is really fucking simple. You're all idiots. If you pick a side, Android over iOS, you're all fucking idiots. They're both much the same. Way back when iPhone was pretty much the only kid on the block and Android was playing catch up, like back in the days where Apple was advertising, we've got 20,000 apps on the App Store, as if we don't get that per fucking day these days. Then it mattered. But these days, yeah, iPhones are more expensive. They are premium products. They tend to last longer, allegedly, with support for several years.
Not by much anymore. They're not much more expensive than like a Samsung phone
You know, the
now.
only thing you're paying for, there's literally two things, in my opinion, you're paying for when you're paying for iPhone. A, the logo. B, I will say it's kind of like back when Mac versus PC.
Yeah, 100%.
You're going to get better security
it's
from
simpler.
an iPhone.
And that's why, for the longest time, I had iOS devices exclusively. I'm a technician. I deal with broken shit all day. I want to come home and I want my tech to be simple. To be honest, the only apps that I actually use on my phone as I flick through Discord, WhatsApp, which I resent using, messaging, which I rarely use, call, YouTube, Spotify. Done. I don't care for games. I don't care for any of that bollocks. I don't use the camera that much. I just want a simple device that lets me communicate with people when I want to and then just leaves me alone. I've recently gone over to Android because the only phone that was still in production when I was buying a phone that was a premium product and had a headphone jack, I refused to buy a phone that doesn't have a full-size headphone jack, was the OnePlus 6. And OnePlus now don't do phones with headphone jacks, so I'm pretty pissed off about that.
There's no headphone jacks on any phone anymore.
It's fucking ridiculous. Nobody wants their phone to be so thin that it bends in their pocket. I've spent like £180 on the best pair of headphones that you can buy for less than £500. I've also spent £200 on a pocket amplifier, which makes it sound even more fucking sexy. I do not want to spend nearly 500 quid on audio gear, which I have to run through your £20 shitty fucking converter that loses all of the fucking quality from the sound anyway. Sort it out, You cunts. Run over.
You know, because it's USB-C, you would think that it would actually have a better quality
Yeah,
audio
but what you're doing is
connection, but no.
you're running music through an extra adapter, and there's loss at every stage of the connection. You want as few parts
Yeah.
between the
Yep.
device and
Anytime you add an adapter, you're going to lose quality
Yeah.
to anything.
Yeah.
Video, audio,
Well, like
anything.
my phone, it doesn't have a headphone jack, but it came with headphones that plug directly into USB-C, which is, I think, what a lot of audio devices are going to start to do. They'll either be USB-A or USB-C, and the old 3.5 millimeter or whatever the fuck it is going to be
No,
phased
I
out.
don't think so. It's not phased out yet, and still, you're never going to reach the point. Well, you're getting close, but you'll
phased
never
out
reach
yet?
the point where you'll get exactly the same level of quality over Bluetooth that you will over a wired connection. It's just impossible. You might get it phased out in favor of the USB-C connectors, but I don't
Yeah,
think
that's what
upper-end
what I meant.
headsets are going to do that for a while yet. Usually, if you produce music, you still have the old 5mm jacks and stuff like that for music production. And my headphones have got basically it just screws on the additional sort of thickness just screws on. It's not an adapter, so it's not really an additional connection. It is, but it isn't. I'm being massively anal here, and you're absolutely welcome to call me a bellend for this. But whether or not I can actually tell the difference, I can tell the difference with the adapter on. Whether or not that's psychological or not, my music gear is carefully selected and is something that more people than just me put a bunch of time looking into to make sure that it was the right thing for the job. And I care a lot about my music quality. I definitely care a lot about my music quality. I've got some cheap headphones. I've got 2 pairs of cheap headphones that I wear when I'm going out for a run and shit like that. But when I listen to music, I listen to music with fucking amazing headphones where you can hear like the pin drop from the guy stood outside the studio. I listen to like stuff that captures every bit of sound and separates it so it just sounds beautiful. Can't get that with one of those shitty adapters. It just takes away from the overall experience.
When I'm going out, I used to use my expensive $200 Bluetooth wireless earbuds.
Yeah, but
with my
like,
phone.
you as soon as you say Bluetooth, you've lost a shitload of quality. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right, but it's on my phone. I'm not expecting high quality.
Upper end Bose and Sennheiser, you could still get some pretty fucking nice sounds out of it. But like, you're talking like the difference in quality between that pair of headphones and a wired pair of headphones from that company at that same price point, night and day. Anyway, I've like had so many nerd out tangents. Just started talking about audiophile shit. Like,
All right, so real quick, back to the reason why I prefer Android over iOS. Personally, Android and iOS are the exact same company. You look inside the parts, they're the exact same parts. So you can, from the same companies from those parts, you know? So, I mean, to me, it's pointless. I think it's really dumb to choose one over the other. Just for, oh, I think this one's stronger.
Yeah.
No, it's basically the same thing. Personally, I'm going to go for the cheaper product because it's the same stuff for a cheaper price. Usually. Samsung lately has been a little pricey, let me tell you. They're catching up on the price, but that's only because I think they've caught up in the
the
quality.
benefit of buying a Samsung phone if you're going Android is not only do you get a phone, you also have a portable explosive device.
Yes, exactly. Isn't that awesome? You can just kind of throw it and it'll go boom.
But also the thing with like between Samsung and Apple, it feels like there's more features on Samsung than you can get on an Apple device. Like looking at the most recent Apple device and the most recent
Oh, that's a weak
Samsung
argument.
device, I feel like there's more features on Samsung.
Yeah, but there's also more bloatware. That's one thing I hate about Android. You get a lot of bloatware when you buy a device from them.
Get a OnePlus, no bloatware, just pure version of Android.
Yes, that's
but
true.
that's bollocks because they
But my
grade
camera phone's better
across.
than the OnePlus, which is why I got mine.
Yeah, it's useful for you. It's bollocks to say that one company has got more innovation than the other. They copy each other and it trades
Well, yeah,
over
but
generation.
Absolutely. Personally, you shouldn't be choosing a phone based on the who makes it. You should be looking at the phone based on how you use it. If you're a gamer, you should be looking at the specs for how strong it can produce your game. As a photographer, you should be looking at the specs into the camera. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many things you can do with phones these days.
And
As an editor, you should be looking at the specs for editing because and make a decision based on that, not based on device.
and if you just want a phone to browse through your social medias and
Go
do
buy
all
a
that shit
Moto.
with it, you don't need $1,000 or a $1,500 phone, whether Android or iOS. It doesn't matter. You can buy like a cheap little like $300 to $400 phone, and it'll accomplish everything you need.
Buy a $40 phone and get all that.
Can I just take this opportunity to shout out my mate who spent 5 minutes when we met up in the week trying to figure out how to check the voicemail I left him on his 3310 because he fell asleep when I was supposed to meet him at his house and he left me fucking sitting in his driveway for 45 minutes in the heat, cunt. But legit, if you just need messaging and nothing else, go out and buy a 3310. The best phone that has ever been made.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, why don't we segue into the console wars and the current state?
I think it's
Console
GG
Wars
at this
is dead.
stage. Yeah, I
Console Wars are
agree.
dead.
And the winner is both of them. The winner is both of them.
Well, no, you can't say both. It's all three because all three have made a niche, including Nintendo.
Nintendo's not a serious contender.
But it's its own thing.
I mean, Nintendo sold a lot of
They
Switches.
sold more Switches than the Xbox and PlayStation combined this generation.
Yeah, they've gone basically full handheld. I mean, yes, you can play the Switch on your TV, but mostly people are going to use it handheld, especially when they're out and about. I don't think Xbox's next gen competitor is the Series X. I think their next gen competitor is Game Pass and
Yes.
xCloud. That is their competitor. That's what they're competing the PS5
They're
with.
not competing.
And they have, and you can see it. They've downplayed their consoles so much.
Yeah, GG, well played. Unlucky to Stadia, by the way. If Stadia still exists in 6 months' time, then I will be so fucking stunned. Unlike John McAfee, I'm not going to say that I'll eat my dick or anything like that, because it could happen, but I'm going to be fucking gobsmacked if Stadia.
Have you
still
guys
exists
ever
in 6
heard of a
months.
game called Orcs Must Die?
I have this, but I've never played this.
Exclusive to Stadia, Orcs Must Die 3 just came out 2 weeks ago. Sorry, had to point that out.
I wonder how long that stays exclusive when Stadia just dies.
So, how many people? Like 7 people are going to play that game?
Yeah.
How many people played the first one?
IGN
I mean,
10
I
out
only
of
tried
10.
it once because it was free on PSN, and then hated it. I was like, nah,
I've got a question. Is Skyrim available on Stadia? Did they do a Skyrim release for it?
I think.
I don't believe
No,
so.
I think they did actually. I'm not 100% certain, but I think they might have.
Todd Howard, you done it again.
I know they got Doom Eternal.
I know that Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out on Stadia,
not
but
anymore.
after
Yeah, I was
everywhere
gonna say,
else.
they've been delayed big time. I don't even think it's coming.
That's their polite way of saying we'll see if there's still a platform.
They're going to release it everywhere else, but on Stadia, they're like, yeah, we don't know when it's going to come out on Stadia.
You know what? I'll tell you right now, Google screwed up with Stadia, and it's not because of how they. Yeah, it is because how they did it, but they got the best Play Store, in my opinion. I prefer their Play Store over iOS any day. If they were smart enough, they would have incorporated Stadia to their Google Play Store, and they kept it separate. And that was a big mistake in their advertising.
Yeah, truth.
Well, and on top of it, it wasn't ready when it was released. Like, what they should have done is they should have had 12 to 15 to even like 30 exclusive developed Stadia games that released at launch, plus a few third-party
Not 9.
games. They had like total games. They had like 22 after like 2 months of being
when
released.
it first came out, they had 9. It took a while for them to get.
Yeah, and that wasn't even. I don't think any of them when they first came out were exclusives to Stadia. They were all third-party
Guilt.
releases.
No,
from
Guilt was
somewhere else.
exclusive to Stadia, and it came out I think about 4 months, give or take. Don't quote me, I could be wrong. About 4 months after Stadia came out.
Yeah, but when they launched, they didn't have any
None.
exclusive Stadia games.
None.
And they should have had like 20 to 30, maybe even 50 exclusive Stadia games ready and developed.
The
at
big
launch
mistake for
day.
Stadia is that they set up with games that were already out. Literally every game that was on their lineup was a game already made and already out on another system.
And you got to buy the hardware. xCloud is just like, yeah, you have the hardware, so here's the thing, and you don't have to buy it. It's
To
part of
top
Game
it off,
Pass.
the most exciting feature, which actually made me all intrigued, because I was intrigued when it first came out. I was like, "Oh, this might be for me." I do a lot of traveling. I travel, right? So I'm thinking, "Oh man, this sounds like a great idea." You know, nope. Why? Because you can't use it on. Still to this day, I couldn't use it on my tablet. Um, that was a month ago. I tried on my tablet because they had a free thing. I was like, "Oh, let me see if I can get it to run." Still wouldn't work on the tablet. Still doesn't work on my phone.
And he has an
Yeah.
Android tablet, guys.
Tab 5S, and then I also have my phone. Still wouldn't work on the phone. Still not activated on Galaxy devices. Pixel only. Who the heck owns a Pixel? Oh, by the way, did I mention 3 days ago they have canceled the Pixel 4 support?
It's a typical
Google.
Android thing to do.
So basically, Google is the loser of the console wars.
Hey, so if anybody actually owns and uses Stadia, then if you'd like to leave a comment down in the YouTube comments, if you're watching this on YouTube, or email us, the details are in the description of the podcast, or join us on Discord and get in touch. Love to hear from people who own Stadias. I personally would love to hear from anyone who owns a Stadia, because I would like to fucking laugh at you. What were you doing buying it, you dumb cunt?
Free for a month. I gave it a shot. I was like, "Yeah, that's good. I'm going to try it." And guess what? I couldn't even get it to work. That's all I'm going to say. Couldn't even get it to
Bollocks, this
work.
topic's dead. Let's talking about dead things in the console wars.
Oh, perfect. So we're talking about Halo.
Let's talk about Halo. Who didn't expect this? Who didn't? Come on, guys. Like, I don't do this often.
The diehard Halo fans. That's who didn't expect
I don't
it.
do this often, but I'd
diehard
love
ones.
to call out the entirety of the gaming community. I do this often. I called you guys out over not supporting fucking xCloud. No, not xCloud. Oh, what was that shitty service you guys use? Mixer. I did it over you guys not supporting Mixer. I'm doing it again now.
Mixer. Hey, get your facts right, first of all.
Oh, I don't give a
xCloud.
Like, I'm not paid for this, so like, fuck, I don't care.
That's the other thing. It doesn't make sense that they got rid of Mixer before xCloud
If a
came out.
last minute thing is shown to the public and you all fucking moan about the quality of the graphics, valid concern, by the way, you can't then get pissy that it's been delayed into next year. What the fuck, guys? Like, how many hours do you think that like they get these guys to cram?
I mean, you know what? Bravo to them for delaying it. All I can say is I remember when Sonic the Hedgehog movie came out. Oh my god! It was so bad!
Yeah, no one realized that the title Halo Infinite meant Halo Infinite development. So.
RIP.
I just want to shout out, while we're here, I'm going to shout out Vinyl Dial again. We went to see the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and he's a pretty big Sonic fan. Like, he will come and do an episode with us where he talks about Sega games, and like Sonic the Hedgehog is really his jam. But there was that one scene that I'd said, if it happens in the movie, you know what the community is going to do with this. There was that one scene in the movie. We're sat there next to each other watching this for the first time, where Sonic takes off his sneakers, wiggles his toes, and I just look over at Vinyl Dial and whisper in his direction, porn. So much Sonic foot porn got made because of that movie. I'm not even joking. The whole Sonic community, apart from Vinyl Dial, you get the pass. The Sonic the Hedgehog community is such a bunch of fucking degenerates. I love you guys.
I will say I love what they did with that movie. They stopped production and fixed it and then put it back out. And now it became bravo.
Absolutely.
To me, that was the coolest thing I saw a movie company ever do.
Vote with your wallets, guys.
Thank you. Halo, hopefully they do the same thing.
The studio that redid it is now gone, but hopefully the people that were in that studio got really good jobs
have
somewhere
been
else.
snapped up. Like, they will have dissolved the thing. There's a well-known scam that happens in like the movie industry. I don't know if this is still allowed to happen, but quite often what they do is they take massive loans from each other, and then they declare that the movie's a flop, so they get some better tax cuts and stuff like that, and actually the money's going to paying back the exorbitant loans. So it's quite common that you'd have companies that are sacrificed as like, well, we can't afford to keep these guys together, but they'll be snapped up by the next project and the whole scam will repeat again. I'm fucking sure of it. Those guys are talented as shit.
Right.
So is Jim Carrey, by the way.
Yeah.
But this is like the episode of tangents, but you know
I
what?
know,
I'm
right?
actually having fun with this.
I gotta say, I can't believe. At first, I was upset. I was like, "Oh my god, Dr. Robotnik's not fat." But then Jim Carrey did his thing. I was like, "Okay, I'll accept it."
Yeah. I enjoyed that movie. I'm not like a huge Sonic fan, but I'm definitely not a noob to the games. I very much enjoyed
I
that
very
movie.
much enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog fanfics. They are a guilty pleasure of mine because the IQ of the people that writes them is just so fucking low. You just can't help but feel good about yourself when you read some quality ass Sonic the Hedgehog inflation porn fanfics.
All I know is I'm old enough to say that I played Sonic 1, the original, when it first came out. First 3 days it came out. I'm that old. So yes, of course I'm gonna love a Sonic the Hedgehog movie if it's done right.
Hashtag
gonna
real
say.
boomer hours.
Yes, man.
If you ever do a brand change,
And I'll tell you right now, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 still looks prettier than Halo.
It's not that ugly.
or Darktheory, if you ever do a brand change, you should call yourself the Boomer Gamer.
Dude, wow. He's all the boomer gamer.
Old Dark Theory. There we go.
Old Darktheory.
You know what, man? You know what? I'm only old to you guys because you guys are young. And I ain't gonna lie, Lawless, you're not that much younger than I am, bro. I'm just saying.
You can't
just
call us
saying.
young. I have the back like a fucking 90-year-old paraplegic, right? So there's nothing fucking young about me. This miserable voice you hear right now, this is just general fucking miserable ability of being an old cunt. So you're even older. You're ancient. Fuck you.
Yeah, but you know what? My back works great. I'm going to work out today and I'm good. I ain't dying. Come on. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
We all
You're
die
almost
at
the
our own
LDT
pace.
next year to, dashing 235. Calling it here. A year from now. Watch. I'll be
All
435.
right. So, what does the Xbox console really have at launch now that Halo has been delayed? I really can't think of a game. I mean, there's several.
There's no reason to get the console when you can get the
There's
Game Pass.
several that I can think of off the top of my head that were in their showcase, but nothing like huge that's going to be releasing with the console that gives you a reason to buy
maybe
it.
Call of Duty. I know they have a special thing with Call of Duty. Is that going to be out on time for their release?
That
not
will
sure.
definitely.
I
There's
don't
no
know.
way in hell that Activision Blizzard won't sacrifice as many children to Moloch as it takes to get Call of Duty out on time. Because God forbid that they show an ounce of human compassion in times like the lockdown or any kind of circumstances, and you watch the record number of layoffs once it's out. Call of Duty will come out on time and they will deliver for Microsoft if they've made special agreements with Microsoft. But the thing at the end of the day is it's fucking irrelevant. Sony has won. Sony will probably end up with more sales because it had a better offering and its flagship games haven't been delayed. Microsoft doesn't really care. Microsoft has got so much money, as Burns pointed out earlier, that they can take the hit of losing a console generation again, because at the end of the day, for Microsoft, it was never about making money in the gaming industry. It was about putting a Windows box in every person's house, or another Windows box in every person's house, and everybody and their fucking dog is going to give xCloud a go when they announce that they'll give like a month free trial for it at some point, which you know they're going to do. They've won, both of them.
Like they have right now, you can get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for $1.
Got it. Playing grounded on it right now.
It's $15 a month after that, but the first month is $1, and you get access to all those games plus xCloud when it comes out next month.
And the $15 price tag is debatable because you can actually get it cheaper if you don't need it on a console. I'm only paying 10, and that's because it's PC.
The xCloud is only included with the $15.
Well, you down convert. I'm pretty sure I got it with just the other one. It allowed me to get it with the other one.
I'll
We'll look into it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Find out.
They might.
We'll let
simplify it over
NerdyBernie.
time.
We'll let NerdyBernie call shade to me on the next podcast if I'm wrong.
The way I see it going, because this has been discussed before, is it might be that you get your basic bitch version, which is $10 a month. And then, like with Netflix, where everything is watered down, and now you've got your Disney Plus, you've got your fucking America's got like 90 of the busted things, you've got your Amazon Video and all of that crap. there's talk about there being a UB pass and an
Real
EA
quick,
pass.
guys, I'm gonna kind of talk real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you because this is kind of something we've just been talking about, and they just got a new thing. As of today, Fortnite is no longer available in the App Store because of the lawsuit, Epic versus iOS.
I just want to say to every single Fortnite kiddie who's stumbled onto this through Lord Darktheory, who owns an iOS device, GGWP unlucky. That's a big GGWP unlucky for me,
Yeah.
and
How
I do
weird.
not care.
How funny is it that, just right before the pandemic, I'm not joking, right before the pandemic, iOS couldn't play Fortnite. Now all of a sudden it can play Fortnite. Or not iOS, I'm sorry, Android. You couldn't download Fortnite on Android. Now you can, and now you can't on iOS. That's interesting how it just flopped there.
You could download it on Android. I've had it on my Android phone before.
They had it for a while, and then they took it away because of a lawsuit, and they just brought it back. I believe April.
I know
May.
they've done several partnerships with Android phones with special
Yeah, no, they
cosmetic
did have it
stuff in
before,
the
but they took it
game.
away. I swear they took it away. Early January this year, you were not able to download it off of an Android device. I tried, trust me, when I was traveling. They wouldn't let me. It wasn't allowed.
Fortnite's dying anyway.
It's all right though. Fortnite stopped being fun after people got way too serious at it.
No,
so.
it stopped being fun when they put bots in it, and I hate bots. What's the point of a battle royale when you're not playing against human beings? Sorry, that to me is the
And
destroy
what's
of
the
it.
point of it?
I played it earlier
What's
today.
the
It was
point of
horrible.
playing a battle royale when literally everyone is 10 times better than you
Not
are?
even that. Not really. I was killing more people on that. I took a second place with like 6 kills. It's not that I can't kill people. It's just, I get bored so you're shooting at a shark because, "Ooh, a shark's coming and it might have loot." Or, so, "Oh, look, the marauders because I camped too long. I got to go shoot these guys." And that's normally how I'm dying these days, is through bots. The shark ate me. A marauder freaking came from the sky, and caught me when I wasn't expecting it. Most of my deaths are that way these days. It's
Yeah.
stupid. It's stupid.
I mean, if it was a single player game, I can see that because you know what you're getting into, but it is definitely a multiplayer, and putting these PvE things into multiplayer just doesn't
And
make
to
sense.
me, that's what's killing the game.
They're just trying to keep it relevant. It's had its time, Battle Royale, unfortunately, is probably set to be the next FPS. I think it's a bit cookie cutter basic bullshit. Though, to be fair, I was calling for Battle Royale like probably when I was the age group that's Fortnite's target. I was saying, yeah, now that we've got like big lobbies and stuff like that. I think War was out on the PlayStation 3, which was like, oh my god, you can have like 125 players in a match. Like, oh my god, seriously, what we want to do is we want to have like a war game where once you die, you disconnect from the server and then you have to requeue. I said that like way back then. But I think that there's a much more fun way of doing it than the way you currently get with the whole parachutes and everything's cartoony. I think it'd be nice to have like some gritty actual fucking warfare gameplay. You're down in the trenches, and when you poke your head up above the parapets, you get your head blown off. That'd be fucking sick.
I will say that I have messed around with Fall Guys a little bit, and that is technically a battle royale. It's not a battle royale shooter, but it's a battle royale, and it is genuinely enjoyable. It's frustrating,
Hated it.
but it's genuinely enjoyable for me.
I can understand the concept and how it can be enjoyable for certain people. For me, personally, okay, maybe I could play a round or two every now and then with some friends just because, but I gotta tell you, that is not a game I'd want to play. Oh,
It definitely has some issues. It
You know what?
definitely has some issues with it.
If that was a mini game in a broader game, more Mario Party style, I think I would totally dig it. But
Yeah,
as it's where it's at on its own right now, it feels like a concept as opposed to, or a gimmick as opposed to a real game.
from my perspective, from what I've been able to pick up about it, and I haven't played it yet, it sounds like it's a spiritual successor to Mario Party, which of course is a spiritual successor to Monopoly, in that they are both games where you end up actually wanting to murder your in-laws. But it's free on PlayStation. As miserable as I'm going to be playing it, fuck it, Burns, I'll play with you. We'll hop on your stream at some point and I'll play some Fall Guys.
As I was playing it last night, and the wife was in, trying to sleep and everything, but I was keeping her awake because I was playing it, and I was thinking, this is entertaining as hell. Like, why am I not streaming
You know
right
what?
now?
I can't get you banned from
I was
Twitch.
genuinely having
I can't
fun.
get you banned from Twitch because it's me doing it. You've got no control over me, and therefore it doesn't break Twitch's rules. But I'm saying that, like, if we do this on your stream, or like if you guys want to co-stream something, I don't fucking care. Just every time I lose, I'm gonna take a shot. But let's see how long I last. See how
You
long I
do
actually
realize
fucking
that you
survive.
can lose within 10 seconds with that game. Like, the first round doesn't even last a
Yeah,
minute.
because it's a bunch of mini games. If those listening to the podcast don't know, it's a bunch of mini games, and you qualify for the first one, and the second one, and the third one, and it can go up to like 5 rounds depending on how many people qualify in the rounds previous. And when you get down to like, I think it's like 15 or less people, that you have the potential to get the final round. It can be anything. Everybody hates the team games if you play it, because 80 to 90% of the time you lose, it's because your team is fucking shit at the game.
Burns confirmed for full of fucking salt. I still like those odds. You guys can ask the Shazul. Go check out the Shazul on YouTube. Make some pretty fucking funny Valorant content. You can ask Shazul. The first time that either of us placed for Overwatch in competitive, I made them all get fucking slaughtered before we started. I played fucking May, right? I was playing May, a balls deep up front and personal hero, and the rule was that you take a shot every time you die. And we did 2 fucking games like that before I'd even let them start the first placement match. I am proper happy to do this. So if anybody who wants to get hyped for Burn stream, make sure that like stream happens after this comes out. You're just gonna have to watch for the one that's got my name in the fucking title. We'll get this done. We'll get this fucking on lock, and I will wake up with a massive hangover. If it doesn't happen, it's because I got this job that I interviewed for today. But I probably won't because I've weirded out the managing director.
We'll play with that. I'm down. That sounds like fun.
All right. Well, you guys are gonna have to do it in the fucking morning because it's already like 11 o'clock for me here, and I'm just looking at the runtime of this episode and thinking, oh fuck's sake, man, this is gonna take me 2 days of editing again.
Fine.
I think we're about done anyway.
We're about done. We could keep talking forever. I mean, you want to go to politics? We can go to politics.
Fuck.
What do you all think about Kamala Harris? Let's change the subject.
The banning of TikTok.
Darktheory legit wanted to go into like current election affairs and stuff like that last night when we were talking, because we were going to do the podcast, but then we weren't going to do the podcast, and basically we're shit at planning things behind the scenes. I turned around and was like, you're fucking crazy, man. Not the main podcast. You can do your own statements on your own channels. Hell, I might even just put something out somewhere with my opinion, which is basically nothing because I'm a Brit and this is an American issue. But like, for fuck's sake, this is a show about shit talking video games and having a laugh with a bunch of cunts. If we were to go in and sort of, I support this candidate, or I think that this is something that is bad, like, you're just fucking.
I didn't say to or from. I just said what you all think and said let's change the subject.
I don't have a candidate that I support enough to put it out on my channels.
I'd like to say that I am in full support of Mr. Nicholas Banana, who is the monster raving loony party constituent of my local area.
Screw that. I'm going Kanye West all the way, bro. Kanye for president, people. Kanye for president.
All right, that is something that we can talk about. I am incredibly sad that he's not able to run fully as president, because Yeezy is fucking fire on Twitter, man. I'm not even gonna lie, he's fire on Twitter. And
Kanye?
Trump's whole thing, like Trump's whole fucking platform is Twitter. So if there had been a scenario in which Kanye and Trump had a Twitter battle, that would have just like, I would have died laughing, just sat there like watching them fucking Twitter battle and sling memes at each other all night. You know that would be much more interesting than like fucking debate night.
And then somebody on the internet would read it out with auto-tune on, just like Kanye did with his rant not that long ago.
I don't know. All right, that really is it, because otherwise we are going to get into...
Yeah, let's stop this podcast, man. Let's go.
All right, plug your shit and we'll get the fuck out of here.
All right, I'm NerdyBernie. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/NerdyBernie. And you can also find me on Twitter, twitter.com/NerdyBernie, or just @NerdyBernie on Twitter, and nerdy_Bernie on Instagram.
DT here, Lord_Darktheory on Twitch TV.
Not going to try and spell it this week.
Capital L, capital D, L, Darktheory on Twitter. Instagram. Got a lot of photos, guys. I will be traveling within the next 2 weeks. Next 2 weeks, you guys are going to be seeing a lot of photos and videos of some beautiful landscapes throughout this country, of this great nation, America, starting out in Iowa. Just throwing it out there. Instagram, Lord Darktheory, one word. There you go, Lawless. Back to you.
Okay, so I don't have my own channel or anything like that because I have a life. You can follow me at Blackbeard the Lawless on Twitter. I will ignore you because I fucking hate Twitter. You can find me on the Discord. I probably will actually bounce people on Discord. If you're funny, then definitely hit me up. Details for the Discord are in the description. And because I've mentioned him twice in this podcast, I'm just going to have a quick shout out to Vinyl Dial, who wrote the intro and outro track. Link to the track, which is available on YouTube, is again in the description.
Who
We
will
will see
soon
you
be
guys.
on one of our podcasts very soon. We're probably going to set it up for the next podcast or the one after that. We're going to try to get him
Okay,
in. I want to
that's
plug
news
him
to
in.
me, but that's cool.
I know. I'm saying it now, though. I'm saying it now. I'm plugging it in. Get Vinyl Dial ready. He's going to be on one of the next podcasts.
I'm not even going to warn him. I'm going to see if he comes to me and asks me about this or whether he doesn't actually listen to the episodes. So you've been fucking marked, son.
You've been marked. Let's see if you're truly listening to your own boy right here.
Called
Hardcore.
out.
All right. Until 2 weeks' time, or whenever the fuck I feel like editing the next episode. Peace the fuck out, guys.
Ah!